put KT right there with them. Ivan going to be the first ban away, and the first thing that I want to tell everyone is that KT currently have, for game score, a negative scoreline. So they are 49% win rate here in the LCK. In order to reach equilibrium, they have to win. So they probably will. That's sort of where I'm at. Ivan and Leon are going to be banned away here by Quandong Freaks. Tristana, the very first ban, followed by the Ashe. I kind of feel like Ezreal might get through. Of course, has been nerfed a bit on his Q damage, but he is still an absolutely ridiculous champion.
Yeah.
Leaper and Deft, both of them playing a lot of this pick.
Want to reiterate, so he got a buff on his Q, which obviously they did nerf, but there was also the ult buff, and if I remember correctly, an AD growth buff as well, and he was already getting picked up prior to that. Now, I do think Ezreal is one of those champions where a reduction to the Q damage actually is a big deal.
Oh my.
Because of how often he Qs. So I still think Ezreal is quite strong.
I'm confused, Chronicler. This is respectful drafting.
Well,
ban
Rumble is open.
Oh yeah, I guess not that good. But taking away Nidalee Tristana, that is good identification of what Quandong Freaks win with.
I do like that. Yeah, I'm wholeheartedly with you on that one.
Why is it taking them so long to find Rumble? Aurora is going to be the choice. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Of course!
This is how we start this off. It's Durora. Thank you very much.
Is it?
I believe that was Yundo that put that one in the prompter for us.
What if it's...
It could be Bullrora.
I was going to go
Aurora.
I was going to go with Aurora Dog. Yours is a lot better.
Yeah. There's definitely some word fusion you could do that is not very good. That is going to be Rumble. That'll be traded for said Aurora.
I got it. Bunny Dog, because she's a bunny.
Yeah, that is definitely...
There you go.
I mean, I'm running...
Nailed it.
I can't get it out of my head. I don't think I should say it on broadcast, but Bulldog and Aurora do not word fuse very well together. Let's just say that. Cassante is going to be a consideration and locked in, so it is the Dusante. And that word fusion I don't want to say. So Aurora for Bulldog. That's a fun one, unless Leaper's going to play it. Like, who knows? Leaper is, of course, you know, he's a streamer, right? He likes to play a whole lot of things.
It's Quandong. I don't know. We're going to find out soon.
It's not Jungle Aurora. I know that. Wait, do I? Could be Maokai Senna. That's a really good point. Thanks, Atlas. Okay, BDD, what is he going to play?
You're welcome, Atlas. I think he's going to play Corki.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
So, we have the Zyra locked in. KT's comp. It's good, but it's also so squishy.
Yeah.
Imagine what happens to them if they get stuck in a giant circle.
Well, what they do is they put down a giant circle, and then she dies.
Yeah, okay, but their opponents don't have to be into the giant circle, and they do.
Right, but then if she's in the giant circle, doesn't she also have to be in the giant circle?
No, because she can just do the hippity hop, and then it's hard to. And she is also stealth.
Yeah, that's true. It's pretty annoying.
I don't know. This champion is kind of crazy. I can't wait to see it. We both saw some of it in challengers already.
Yep.
And it's going to be the main topic of conversation, obviously, initially, because. Especially seeing it mid, it's very Bulldog, it's very Quandong. But then you look on the flip side, and you gave up Rumble, Zyra, and Corki. And I do think that I'm a little worried about hitting like critical mass of only damage, no CC, and the moment someone mispositions, they just die. But particularly the Rumble, man. This champion is just absolutely insane. We know that Perfect pilots it well, and Cassante's even Dusante, even Keen Sante, I feel like they always take a beating, and some of them might bounce back. I don't know if that alone is going to be enough. As the MF comes through, we talked about it a lot already today, first time we actually see it. Very strong right now. I'm like, are they just going to go like MF Zyra? Like that's what's next? We're just going to rotate this to Barrel and pick a different CC jungler here?
Oh, that would be so sick.
No, it's going to be like Nautilus or Alistair or...
They just like lock Sejuani and just don't even say anything. Amazing.
Either of these teams, I just want to actually, ideally, we just not talk about it until everything is locked in and stopped, and then we can discuss.
And I feel like drafting is a lot like CV Max versus Beryl, as far as like where the spice is coming. So we'll just have to see what Beryl is going to lock away here. The Rel comes in. Rel Zeri, not exactly the most inspiring lane as far as early game power is concerned, especially when they're facing down Misfortune. I recently watched a video from Double Lift saying that Misfortune is the perfect champion to play ever in the universe. So that's pretty cool. That's a Poppy being considered. I wouldn't mind the Cow, though, because that is one of Beryl's best champions ever. Of course, dating back quite a few years, 2019 being the best example of Mega Cow Barrel, and he is going to lock that one away. And we were actually talking about this in the previous series. You had a great point about the fact, I think it was Ox that actually had the point on the space about if you are going to have sort of like solo frontline reliance from support, Alice is a pretty good choice.
Yeah, Rel is another one, but obviously that one picked up by Undil here. Also, the Alistair into the Rel feels great because you can deny some of her engages. KT comp, so much power, so much team fighting. The wombo combo, absolutely nuts. But it does feel to me a little bit flimsy. This is the type of composition that can quickly fall apart if we see individual pieces out of order. Old layering is going to have to be good as well. And I do think that Kwangdong have the necessary tools to get on top of this composition and try and play through that. Because if they don't, they're just going to get toasted fairly quickly. But will they actually do it? Kwangdong, again, has also been a team that has been very hit or miss. And to me, this Aurora in mid specifically, I don't know how that's going to work, Atlas. I'm going to have to see what it actually does into the Corki, to which extent Bulldog can make his impact on the map known, and how they're going to utilize the ultimate.
Well, looking forward to seeing how it is going to go. There you can see it. Dusante opting in for that Rumble matchup. That is the craziest part of it for me. Some double magic damage in the mid jungle as well isn't the greatest, but also Cousin Bulldog haven't necessarily been working together all that well. KT with a bunch of OP champions, but who knows whether that's going to make the difference. Jump into the rift for game one.
수환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Oh, you can feel it here in Lowell Park, the desperation from the KT fans, but also the volume. They are quite loud. Of course, you know, there's the Atlas is on their side of Lowell Park for this particular game situation happening, so proximity bonus for KT, but still, you can just hear it in the pitch of the cries from the KT fans. KT are very much protecting their plant lady, and I respect it.
One of the things we've been seeing pretty often is Zyras being invaded so that they don't get as quick of a clear. And guess what? The late invade is looking to come through here. Might even be a lane swap as well. In which case, actually, now that I think about it, the Rumble into Cassante, at least the first couple of levels, not going to be nearly as rough. And yep, there we go. They will be spotted. And the moment they see Dudu, I imagine they know that this is going on.
Yeah, Pureshik throwing some Qs around, some autos around, but Q now on cooldown for a little bit. See whether they can get rid of some of these plants. It looks like they won't be able to, but Perfect has to flash very early on. And Quantum Freaks will just get Pureshik out of here. He's still sticking around though. 3 versus 2 here for KT. Maybe a 3 versus 3 as Pureshik, he manages to get it down to 8 health on the big Raptor. And KDF, they come up empty.
I gotta say, getting that Raptor was the big point of that invade. That said, one of the big things we're always going to look to is they will know that this is happening. And secondly, the amount of experience has been gotten by the team. And in that regard, Kwangdong is currently pulling ahead. As I do think that they should be able to, at the very least, get this Cassante to the wave post-first crash. We'll have to see. Perfect not having flash is definitely a bit of a rough one. As, yeah, Aurora, obviously, this is going to be the debut. As we see, Bulldog is going to be trying to continuously pull these Qs.
You can tell that Aurora is a pretty viable champion, though. 100% present so far in our first 3 games, banned both times around in game number 1. 1 from each team, despite them being on the same sides of the Rift. So you can see that there was already something up after the DRX versus Gen G series. Now Bulldog, let's see whether he can pilot her and show us how bannable she actually is. As KT would, of course, be the team to take the risk. As Bulldog just bouncing around the wave. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how Aurora is supposed to be piloted, Chronicler, or are we not feeling like we even really know that much yet?
Well, so we can talk a little bit about what the kit does. It's more so that in pro play we often see players be able to pilot it beyond that. But basically, gist of it is, as you can see right there on that minion, free hit passive.
Uh-huh.
The good old classic.
Never seen that before.
Definitely not. She has the ability to fire the projectile, then pull it back. Then she has, my favorite part is the little bunny hop that gives you stealth, which I personally think is something that maybe is a bit much.
Is it better than this? The barbecue?
Yeah, so as I was... this wave is going to eventually crash into Dudu, but Perfect has a really big experience lead. So what happens is we do see Leapers ahead in experience, as is Ondeal, but they sacrifice Dudu for that.
Oh my god!
Why are we walking back up? As long as he has someone to help him on this wave, he should be fine. Might even be worth dying on the wave. Looks like instead he's just going to TP back. He needs to get these minions. Like, that's 100% a given. So basically, KT opted to give Perfect the experience shared with Deft and Barrel, which is why this happened, whereas Dudu stayed with Cuz for most of it. And that has led to a result. Okay, he's now level 2, and he will be able to catch this wave. So, like, the lead isn't actually going to be that big, but that's a very precarious situation. Because say that Pioshik's there and dives, and you miss out on those creeps, top lane is just over.
Yeah.
And it's just immediately done.
And it might almost already be over because of the matchup and how it kind of works. He does now have a Null Magic Mantle. Perfect will be able to buy items as well. As Bulldog throwing out that Q, pulling it back again. And is sort of struggling against BDD.
Yeah, so one of the things that I do think is interesting is that they went for mid here, because based on most of what I've seen, specifically with Aurora, one of the most obnoxious things is, like a lot of ranged top laners, where she's been seen the most, is that it's insanely hard to close the gap reliably because of the
bunny hop.
Well, you both the bunny up, but then you also have the it's like the the Graves ultimate where you fire and then
you go backwards.
Go back.
The weirding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I do appreciate you.
I'm learning.
So it's the E, right?
Yeah.
That alone would be kind of annoying, but then she also has the hop that gives her stealth. So closing the gap is really tough, so you just kind of get bullied out. But playing into Corki, that obviously isn't going to apply because he's ranged. So I do think that makes sense that Bulldog is really struggling in these early trades. What I'm mainly going to be looking towards is how does he use the ultimate? Because it's by far, I think, the strongest part of this champion. It's also kind of hard to use reliably as Cuz. They get this.
Yeah, Cuz just kind of walks on over. Now a twisting advance onto BDD, but he's going to put him on the mini equalizer. Still, BDD's in trouble. That's first blood going to the Aurora. She just throws down the ulti. Does have to flash in the end, but I'm reckoning he's going to say worth for that one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure about that one, BDD. Just walked up and took a lot of damage.
Yeah, just kind of died.
They had a members advantage, so as long as the rest of the team is there, they would have been fine, but that is a big mistake. It's also going to equalize most of the lead that was built up for Kwangdong. And I want to reiterate, whenever you go for these type of lane swaps, we do see the plates in bot side favorable for KT because there's less turret protection. So that's always going to be the case. It's more about the run of effect. This here, Cuz good sidestep there. And then BDD, so he gets tagged by the free hit passive. Perfect, even if he's here earlier, I don't know if that alone is enough. And then BDD just... you have flash.
Yeah.
You can flash it. That's like the one thing you can do to get out. Just flash.
Well, he doesn't flash, so now he has that for the next play.
Yeah, that is true, Atlas.
Yeah. I'm looking for the positives here. Certainly not a great maneuver. Does now have Merc Tread, so that's not necessarily going to help him with his combat prowess, but as far as this mid lane combo is concerned, it's going to very much help BDD, as there's a fair bit of magic damage that he does have to deal with.
So a run-off effect of that play is, hold on, we might have a dragon fight here.
Yeah, the Nature's Grasp does come out as Pioshik tries to get on in there. Cuz is going to be able to grab that dragon though, and there's the bullet time. Cuz just going to flash to get himself out of the way. Def uses the last of his remaining mana. Q3 not going to connect there from Dudu, who has completely come back in this lane. He is now just completely chill.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Perfect's roam didn't work out. So he roamed towards mid, trying to influence that play, which I think makes sense. Initially, it just looked like he was going to help Pioshik and keep Cuz away. But it didn't end up working out. They didn't really get anything for it. And he still has a lead. He still had an experience. But this is the type of lane where Cassandra eventually will get to the point, if the Rumble doesn't accelerate, where he can take the beating.
Yeah.
Right, we already see the Cow in Dudu's inventory. It's also Dudu. So I imagine Perfect in general is just going to try and play as safe as possible. We still see, like, between the Harpoon cutting through his Amar, Dudu is still going to get shoved in very consistently. But yeah, he's going to hit 6. Oh, it does miss the cannon. He's going to hit 7 off of this. And once you start getting towards level 9, level 11 territory with a full item, you're feeling a lot better in that 1v1.
Yep, Leaper as well, able to avoid the combo from Beryl. So nothing wrong there. No real whoopsies yet, though, outside of that first blood for KT.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've seen worse. And this is a composition that does have a lot of champions that are very, very strong at this point in time. I think Misfortune, incredibly good in the current state of League of Legends. As Bulldog starting to get a whole bunch of wave clear.
Yeah, there you see.
Really able to stack up that Q, the twofold hex, as it were. And that can really start sorting things out here in this mid lane. Feels a little bit like Time Winder, you know, Echo's Q. Except that you control when it comes back.
And you have a free hit passive and a dash.
Like Nico, I mean, like Echo.
Interesting.
Do you get the extra movement speed after the 3-hit? It'd be really cool if it was just Echo's passive. That would make it much easier for me to understand what's going on as Dudu presses a whole bunch of buttons and Perfect says, haha, I only really need to stand still and press Q.
I am Rumble.
Indeed.
That said, the main issue for Kwangdong isn't really going to be these skirmishes, where thus far they have looked good. Also happy to see Cuz go lock it. I wish it was a Rumble thing, but they just go lock it basically every game now.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go Zeeks, but I do think it's mostly lock it, particularly for Maokai's. But obviously a really good item there. But the AoE damage is going to be a tough thing to deal with, right? That's the main thing, that the combo teamfight ultimates that's available there is really strong for KT. So Kwangdong's fight selection is going to have to be really good. And right now their laning states don't really look that great in terms of being able to get prio somewhere first, right? Because ideally, if the enemy has to come into a choke into you, you can form a concave, you're not nearly as susceptible, and between the Maokai and the Rel, you do have a lot of threat in chokes as well. If you're ever late to an objective, there's no point. Because between Bullet Time, Alistair existing, and Zyra and Rumble, you need to be there first, and right now it looks like that is the case here for Kwangdong. It's Bulldog using his stealth to walk up a little bit.
Yep, skipping across the veil, as it were. But he'll be all right.
That'll be 4.
Yeah, just going to start this one up. Exactly. KT was, of course, able to get a couple of them, but the fact that it was just that cheeky little smite on 79 health from Cuz to lock down one of them, getting the 4th is actually kind of huge. Deft is just taking first turret, as we say it, and Pureshik will be able to take away the enemy Raptors, the enemy Krugs, get a little bit of extra there, as Leaper is able to at least get a few, but it looks like Deft, I mean, very, very close to being able to just take this full turret, and he should be able to grab that last plate as well. And Deft getting fed is kind of just the game plan for KT most of the time. So he's going to be very happy with that one, as Dudu kind of having Perfect here where he wants him, but the equalizer comes down and he is burning, burning, burning. He does have a lot of MR, but as you can see, Rumble.
Yeah, the MR he literally has 3 different MR items, and it still doesn't matter that much. Does have a good amount of cookies, so it's going to sustain up at least a decent amount. If there was a jungler, then maybe he could have been threatening something. We, of course, know that that wasn't the case. Maybe looking to like get a safety flash out of Perfect. I know Dudu, though, and I imagine that he is still looking for something. No Rumble ultimate available. Means that if he gets a good all-out, maybe there's a window there, but you do need a Q3, and you see Perfect punishing it when there isn't any.
Still,
it's not available for Dudu as well, so he is going to have to stick in this lane for a little bit longer.
Yep, KT looking for the second dragon of the game. It's going to be a Hex deck. We have a high likelihood of getting Orcs, so if you could get your Sostra in the chat, please, that would be absolutely fantastic. Because I think we're in for a Chemtech. Just feel like we're due, you know? I think it's about time. What do you think?
I'm hoping for Drift Rift.
Oh, I want Swift Rift or Drift Rift. I think either of them would be absolutely fantastic. And whoa! Oh, okay. Chronicler, you're paying attention today.
We're drifting.
We are drifting indeed. No Jins this time, which is a little bit sad. He does make use of the drift riff quite a lot. That is the first and last time I will ever say that I regret not having a Jin in a game. Just realized that I said that. I apologize, dropped the ball. You know, my cat was sick yesterday. I'm just a little bit not there.
That's okay, Atlas. We forgive you.
Yep.
And also, most of us don't really hate Jin nearly as much.
No. But
Jin,
it's more about holding me accountable
I get
for my own things that I say. I like to be consistent.
Jin Yumi notwithstanding, which I'm sure is a...
I think that's pretty unanimously hated.
That is, yeah, no, I would say so.
Yeah.
Do want to highlight that right now KT is building a pretty nice gold lead, and most of that does come down to that bot side turret, but there's also been a good amount of plates just in general taken. Mid lane also the case, as well as some pretty okay CS leads, and we might have a 5v5, but look.
I feel like nature will be grasping.
Soon.
All right, this Rift Herald going down as Cuz's angle a little bit strange on this one. He's looking for Perfect and for Deft. Bullet time immediately comes down as Bulldog just throws Deft into the circle. Will be able to take him down. It's a 2-for-2 trade so far, though, as Bulldog just going to be ripped to shreds. BDD gets his revenge, and it's a 3-for-2 trade in the end. Have no idea who got the Rift Herald. It's actually BDD that collects that one, so a big trade up here for KT.
And that's the problem, even though you
mid
kill
lane turret
Deft.
too.
Yeah, even though they are able to kill Deft, KT powers in their ultimates. They do so much damage. So these health bars are insanely low. So even with the very quick assassination of the AD carry of KT, it just doesn't matter. BDD gonna get people like even further ahead here.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see, because obviously most of our attention was drawn to what is happening to Deft, but I would like to draw your attention to the other half of the map. So as you pointed out already, because this angle a little weird, they don't get the objective, and they go in aggressively here onto Pioshik, but he just flashes over the wall, and they're sitting on top of an equalizer, a Zyra ultimate, and there's still a good amount of
yeah,
you know,
I honestly think like Deft should have just like after that ultimate just said witness me and then just let himself go instead of blowing the flash. Like,
I agree.
Trying to stay alive there, it doesn't matter. You've done your job, dude. It's totally good.
Yeah, you got the channel. That's really all we needed you for.
Yeah.
You can peace out. It's fine. Really, ideally, going down earlier gets you back on the map faster, and you will also have your sums. Outside of that, though, this was obviously amazing fight for KT. Get the objective, get the mid lane turret. Barrel is a little far up here.
Yeah, he's going to headbutt Andil away, but now he's just going to try and turn it. Bulldog is going to get ultimated again, and BDD will take him down. The full bullet time into the face of this Aurora. And yeah, that's Deft. I think he'll have the Infinity Edge now. Of course, you can see he has all the components. The saddest MF ever is one that has to deal with that. As Dudu now fighting against Perfect here, you can see he's kind of liking his chances in the 1v1, but Alcove Gaming, as he's standing on the blast cone.
They need this kill, Atlas, pretty badly.
Perfect is just trying to waste as much time as possible.
Yeah, but Seri is going to be here. Oh, can he
Dudu has
play it?
pressed like every button that he's ever had. As he flashes, Dudu going to flash after him, but there's
Oh
no
my
W.
God!
He can't catch up. The circle's going to go down, but Beryl, he doesn't care about circles. The Magnus Storm comes in. BDD is now Valkyrieing forward, and Cuz going to get taken down low, but honestly, Kwandong Freaks kind of look like they're falling apart a little bit, but this is KT after a loss against Bro. Like, the law of yo-yos that KT abides by, it just, you have to listen. And they were never going to win, I guess, unless Leaper just solo kills Deft, which he probably will. Yeah, Deft is going to go down. That's inconsequential. That's not a caster curse, guys.
Yeah, no,
there's still 5,000 gold ahead.
Tell us more. That's Deft as well.
You just got to revel in the chaos.
So, I see a little bit of tilt in that flash towards the bot side. That just didn't really work out, but this. Big mistake by Bulldog here, obviously, is to underestimate Barrel, which we have all done at times. And you do that at your own peril. But most importantly, he uses his W right from the get-go there, so he doesn't have the gap close. He can't get out, he can't use the stealth. And then here, he just don't have the damage. That is a Barrel with ultimate, so isn't really any way to take him down. And then Perfect also just absorbs the gank. The fact that Deft is just here next to Zeri
Yeah.
You don't win the all-in. That's unfortunately the one thing that, like, you can win longer trades, but if Zeri ever gets on top of you and you don't have flash, you do just die.
Roots value. Feeling pretty good there. Couldn't be end of the world or anything as Death opts in to standing in that extendo beam. He now does at least have the Infinity Edge completed, so that feels a little bit better.
Yeah.
Does have the added assist over what Leaper has picked up as well, but 3 turrets to 0 is what's really pushing this gold lead further for KT. And now they're looking for their second Drake of the game. Not really too much contest here, as we can see, so Kwangdong Freaks not able to answer that. And Drift Rift is one that needs to be respected. This soul is a big deal. And Chronicler, why was it first pick Aurora, not first pick Rumble? I'm just feeling like the Rumble is just, it just does a whole lot more every game.
Yeah.
You know? But I guess we don't really know about the Aurora factor. Did manage to get first blood, that was pretty cool.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I think it should have been Rumble.
Yeah,
especially because so if you end up with Rumble, they end up with Aurora. That's obviously a bit unfortunate. But there might also be a world where you end up with both, which is really good.
Especially if you're very happy to play it mid.
Because I don't know if you know, I don't know if Kwangdong knows for sure that KT is picking Aurora. I
mean, if they pick, like, if KT picks Aurora, Barrel's the one that's going to play it, like, obviously.
Oh, I want to highlight this. Well, oh god, I'm just going to.
You know that's true.
I don't care. He shouldn't. I want to highlight here, Cuz actually going for Abyssal Mask. I think Abyssal Mask super undervalued right now. Really strong item.
Blast Cone. Barrel is walking up to everyone and is going to take half of his health bar, or well, almost half of his health bar.
So the one upside for Kwangdong is that Leaper is in a pretty good spot, has finished his second item. Still behind, obviously. And yet, I
feel like Cuz and Barrel are talking together about this Abyssal tech, by the way.
Oh yeah, didn't even, thank you, good catch. I was talking about it for specifically the Aurora, and Maokai is going to be head first amongst many members. It makes equal amount of sense for Barrel, who has 2 AP threats. He's also going to be on top of, you know, both big team fight ultimates producing everyone's MR.
Yeah.
So, great itemization. Love that.
Pretty cool. And pretty cool for both of them as well. Especially when you've got, like, double AP in jungle and top, like KT does, or like Kwangdong Freaks do in jungle and mid. Certainly some pretty cool tech. Just hoping that Kwangdong Freaks can find their way back into this game, because it's currently about a 5,000 gold lead. That has remained stagnant for quite some time, as I've seen this play before. Bulldog's just going to blow him up. Deft is... He has been farming in the mid lane, for better or worse this game.
Mostly worse, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's a hard one to break down. I guess we'll probably get the replay and then we can try again. That was a bit of a Deft go boom type situation.
Yeah, I think Deft has really had a... Even in the Pro Series, I think he was having a tough time. I think right now, still kind of the case.
I think we can all kind of agree that BDD is currently the AD carry, and he is extremely fed. He just got his transformation. He is building very quickly towards his rapid-fire cannon. Yeah. This Corki is enough, to be perfectly honest. Let's have a look at this from Deft's perspective.
탑 2차 쪽 대체가 별로 미드 걸었어요.
Okay, he's just dead. He's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're going to take all blame from Deft. That was just a lady from Freljord popping up out of nowhere, and then he was dead.
Yep, not a lot of counterplay to that one. Also want to highlight, actually, because we talked about the Abyssal Mask already, Barrel also going for the, and I did have to look up the name, Synchronized Souls.
All right, we're going to have to interrupt you there momentarily. Stranglethorn's going to be full-on avoided as Yoshik is put into a circle. He's the one that's going to be assassinated this time around, and BDD chased out. The Bramble Smash is so good, as at least the turnaround is pseudo there, but Leaper is getting certified. Barrel is going to fall down. It's a triple kill for the Zeri, and Kwangdong Freaks turning this game on its head. They're looking for a Baron.
And I was going to talk about the Synchronized Souls, but it's Kwangdong that is synchronized in that fight. Do note Perfect Source's equalizer, but it looks like he doesn't want to take the risk. Doesn't have his flash, otherwise I'm pretty sure he would.
Why does he still have his equalizer?
Because he wasn't there for, I think, at the beginning of the fight. I'm not sure. I feel like he could have definitely used it, but I think they were kind of caught off guard by the speed with which the turn came through. And yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
Yeah, it wasn't there initially. So, and the TP does come in. Again, it's just the amount of burst that comes out from the Aurora. So Bulldog uses the ultimate just to lock them in place. So every member of KT that matters is stuck in that pit. So Cuz, Leaper, and Bulldog can just do damage at their heart's content, and then you see, yeah. Take another look at this. So he uses his stealth to go in and locks them in place, and then the fact that Leaper is able to jump over the wall as well. And then there, he does end up dying thanks to a really nice knockback from Barrel, but that's about it. And now the gold basically equalized that KT. If they can get this Drake though, at least they can get Soul Point.
Yeah, Soul Point going to be very important. Extended Beam not quite going to find KT here.
I think it's looking good. Yeah, they should be able to get this, although Ondale.
Yeah, he can possibly get in here. Nature's Grasp is going to be tanked by Barrel. Everyone sort of lines up for it. The Extended Beam not really working out as they do get the ulti down. But Perpy is now looking to barbecue them. The Aurora goes down, but she does kill Deft as well as Kwangdong Freaks just get full control of the pit. They equalize the Dragons, and they are well and truly back in this game.
Atlas, we were non-believers in the basically mega-empowered Jarvanel, but Bulldog now 2 fights in a row. He just died immediately in that fight.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Immediately got roasted by Perfect, who said, I'm about to feed you some bunny, but the rest of the team is gone. Like, take another look here. Again, it's Leaper biding his time. And Bulldog
Barrel actually interrupting Bulldog was kind of huge, but it didn't matter at all.
Didn't matter, he got the ult off still. So that makes the setup for Cuz, Undo, and Dude like so insanely easy. As long as there's no flash, there is no counterplay to that. You are stuck in that domain expansion, whether you like it or not. And the first pick Aurora in these fights, as it seems a little silly, Atlas.
I mean, he's 90 CS down and looking completely broken.
It is just new Nico.
It is. This is very strange. Anyway, KT now lose out on Soul Point. They lost out on Baron. And they also don't seem to know what to do about this Aurora problem that they're running into. I think Barrel's idea, in theory, kind of worked out. But remember, they're also just really squishy. You said this already at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and they're going to just continuously be locked in place. And just Cuz's ultimate and Ondale alone would be tough. But there's, outside of flashing, literally no way to get out once you're in the circle. And because of the stealth, it's really hard. And Bulldog can also use his flash aggressively.
Leaper is absolutely gigantic.
Yeah, he's been doing a whole lot of sliding in and last hitting.
Oh,
and that's all he needs to do. As long as Leaper doesn't die, these fights are really tough. The only thing I can think of when I'm seeing a mid laner like this, that it's 100 CS down, but making these plays, we should ban this against DK. I don't think Showmaker should have access to these powers. That's not...
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
That's
collectively. And now it's going to come down to KT's ability, because even with this, there is still the opportunity for KT. They have still so much teamfight power, but they need flashes. I think that's kind of a given after what we've seen now. Back-to-back fights where the carries just immediately die.
You're going to have to try and do something about what Bulldog has been doing every single fight as well. So let's just see whether they do have any sort of answer. I think GA might be a decent item for them to pick up as well.
Magic
I feel like
it's going to go towards that.
Yeah, a fair bit of initial burst damage that they do have to deal with. VOD moving towards item number 4, Def trying to get there. 4th item completed for Leaper. Only 3 done for Bulldog, of course, because, of course, it hasn't been able to pick up very much farm. But that's okay. A lot of it being funneled in to this Zeri, who is really big. Like, also just has really great items. Doesn't really have to build a lot of armor penetration this game.
No. And the one thing that does worry me when it comes to KT, something we haven't talked about as much, but they're not only squishy, but they also don't have that much CC.
Yeah.
Right? There really is, it's really just Barrel, and then Pyosik, of course, has a little bit, but that is a lot more telegraphed or slower in case of the route. So it's going to be so much harder to actually lock down. Like, how do they actually lock down Leaper without, you know, him like sliding into perfect and BDD and just getting 2 shot? But that's going to get harder. Already he has the BT. I imagine he goes GA next.
Yeah. The game is getting just more and more difficult by the minute. And Dudu is completely out of the woods. He's now ahead. He's 1-0-3. This Dusante is kind of a monster.
Yeah.
And he is a real tank in this game. And
Yeah.
now, like, getting more and more towards becoming far more of a champion than anyone on KT, just with the fact that he will have so much longevity in these fights to hold them in place so the Leaper can get the work done.
The thing now for KT is to try and find a moment of weakness here. Any fight that's taken into a choke can still go their way, but you do see the issue here is that Perfect, I think even post-Kriblov is just not, he doesn't have prio anymore, right? He's just not able. Dudu at this point is a level up as well. Has been able to, as you point out, get a lead in CS. And it feels like Guangdong kind of have outskilled KT here, and if they got that soul point, that could have been enough.
Yeah, it could have been a bit of a difference maker.
Then you could have gone for the trade here, right? Infernal Soul, threatened for Baron. And now, oh my god, yeah, why not?
Yeah, Leaper just going to come on over and
They
take it. That's
see
going to go
Barrel
down
and
so
Pyosik.
incredibly quickly. And there's nothing that they are going to be able to do about it because they just can't walk up. And there it goes. So Soul Point picked up. And KT kind of look paralyzed right now. It doesn't look like they're able to make any sort of play. And they really need to. They're going to get back into this one.
But I understand, because go back to what happened to Deftway a couple of, what is it, like 10, 15 minutes ago?
Yep.
That moment, like, he's obviously was pushed up too far. A lot of pros, I think, genuinely that what we saw in the first series as well is teams just don't want to deal with this. Stealth is such a tough thing to wrap your head around, especially when the champion is new, but even more so when you don't have vision control. Like, for all they know, Bulldog could be waiting and looking for a really big stealth into ultimate, and yes, he will probably die, but who cares if he takes BDD and Deft with him. They do have flashes though, and that's going to be crucial, because I think a Baron fight is about to come up, and them staying alive. Look at that, GA foregone, instead BDD full damage with the IE.
Of course, it's the let's hope I survive so that I can just kill all of them. And Infinity Edge going to be a big one there. It's Pyosik, no idea what's happening around this Baron as they put down the circle. Perfect flashes out of it. But this is all just to create space. BDD coming on over, looks for Bulldog, knows that there's no ulti, but he gets caught. The Magnustorm comes in and he has to flash away. The Baron secured here by the Guangdong Freaks. They do lose a fair bit of health, but an equalizer does nothing. All 5 members get out with the Baron, and Guangdong Freaks with this whole game under their control.
And that Baron, it's not perfect, but close to leads into the Dragon. They're the one with Soul Point. An Infernal Soul on a Fed Zeri on this Aurora. First game we've seen of it in the LCK. And whew, a lot of power budget in that ultimate there, because you see Perfect, Pyosik, BDD, all flashless now. And all of them are not going to have a way of dealing with this once it comes down. And even in the jungle, which should be where KT at least have a little bit of threat, there's just nothing they can do because there's no vision.
Yeah.
They have 0 priority in any single lane with this Baron buff, and
Deft also, he's got brown bags and then 4 just straight damage items. There's no Bloodthirster here. There's no real longevity. Like, he kind of just blows up. He needs to just get an ult off and hope that that's going to be enough to soften them so that BDD can get these kills.
yeah, I think it comes down to Barrel, but this is where the Maokai, to me, makes it so much more obnoxious. By the fact you have both Maokai and Rel, because I think the one thing you can do against Aurora when she does put her ultimate down is look at how much damage they have. Like, you can counter-engage, but counter-engaging into a Maokai is like,
Yeah, what you gonna do?
not a whole lot, as we have seen in these fights, Atlas.
Indeed. Cuz taking a fair bit of damage there. But he can just sip some sap, and he's gonna be A-okay. There's a circle down once again. It's the bullet time, but this is what we were talking about before. Beryl, he goes in. They're just underneath the turret having a party. They are so tanky. As Beryl, his aftershock goes off, his will looking pretty breakable as it does wear off. And Kwangdong Freaks just wandering casually towards these Nexus turrets, and they're looking to do it again, moving up to 1-0 in the series. The Nature's Grasp comes out just to get the finishing touches on this one. Pyoshik going down once again. This guy Zyra hasn't looked very good this season and is continuing to get punished. There it goes, the Nexus to go down next, and Kwangdong Freaks passing the first test on their trip to playoffs.
Got a bold statement coming in for you, Atlas. I think Aurora is going to be banned in game number 2.
Oh yeah, we said that about Ezreal and Rumble last time, KT.
God.
I don't think that's going to happen, Chronicler.
What a game. Early laning phase looking really rough for the Aurora, and that's the main thing that we're going to be talking about, because it felt like every single fight, even with KT getting a huge early game lead, just boiled down to Bulldog hops in, gets the bunny hop, throws down at the main expansion, and people die.
Yeah. Yeah, basically everyone just... and it wasn't everyone, right? He just like killed the and there are lots of squishies in the KT composition.
Only squishies outside of Beryl.
Yeah, but he'd kill like 1 or 2 people, and then he'd go down, and it didn't matter. He didn't farm any minions, didn't matter, because he killed a whole bunch of champions that game. Aurora looking very, very silly in this one. We didn't even really see too many like shenanigans. It was just like big damage go boom, and just kind of killed everyone. Kind of ridiculous. Having a look here, 23.1k, but a lot of it was a lot more valuable than what we saw out of BDD's 27.0. Yeah, KT just kind of not surviving long enough in that game to actually close it out.
Dudu was also there.
He exists.
He's Cassandra. He's not supposed to do a lot of damage, but man, after that game number 1, I can't wait to see what game number 2 drop will bring, Atlas.
I could wait. Let's go to a short break. When we come back, the Space is going to break that one down. We'll see you for game number 2.
이번에 탑 타워 딱 집어서 볼게. 집어서 뿌려. 나왔고. 딱 달려볼게. 타워 타워. 탑. 탑으로 와, 탑으로 탑. 아, 알리자밖에. 끝낼까 보자. 끝낼까 보자. 나 박을게. 얘들아 이거 천천히 끝낼까 보자. 아니야. 그만. 라인으로 끝낼까 보자. 내가 걸 거거든. 얘들아 자이라 터뜨려 생각해. 자이라. 아니야. 봐도 돼. 아니야. 한번 빼고. 오케이. 타워. 자이라 좀 볼게. 봐봐. 잡았어. 타워. 그렇게 본다. 초반에 미안하다.
Again, this match matters a lot. Even individual game wins are a big deal. Between these two teams, they are currently on the same game score. KT is 1 series win ahead, so it's still in the lead as of right now. And with every passing second, I'm getting more worried.
I mean, it's Tristana, Ashe, and Italy. They are 100% banning those.
Yes.
Oh no, the Aurora is going to be the final ban.
Okay, cool. Things are okay. I was worried for a second there. I could already see that. So now you ban Rumble, and then things are okay. Things are good.
Oh, or would they ban something else for fun?
They might, and then just go Cassandra again, which I wouldn't agree with, but it would be in line with what Kwangdong have been doing.
What are you talking about? It won in game 1.
That is a fact, yes.
Lucian's banned for some reason. Okay, I'm going to cross out this Rumble ban that I already wrote down.
Well, now, why would you do that, Atlas?
I'm an idiot, that's why.
Clearly.
Nidalee is up and available, so theoretically what happens is Rumble gets locked in first, and then the 1-2 punch of Renekton Nidalee comes in from Dudu and Cuz. Corki first pick.
Well, they did ban Lucian, so
I guess. Thing is, there are a lot of things up and available. Tristana is a no-go for Bulldog, so the Tristana Nidalee can't come in, but Cuz doesn't know how to lose when he gets the kitty cat. So that's likely to be picked up.
yeah. The one thing is you can't really go Rumble Nidalee.
You can go Ezreal Nidalee.
Yeah, I would. The Nidalee's going to get locked in. We know that. Question just becomes, do you go for the Renekton, which is obviously the most solid setup? What direction do you go here for Bulldog? Can also lock in an early Zeri and then try to flex that, depending on what ends up working. We also saw Leaper obviously pretty solid at the pick.
Yeah.
With this, I also do think that, okay, because you can go for it still, just off of the value of the picks, but it does make your top side 2v2 pretty weak.
Yeah. We're looking at a Sejuani as the response from Pyoshik. I'd like to see something a bit melee. I think just blocking in Renekton wouldn't be that bad. It doesn't feel great.
I know it's been more manageable recently, but like picking Sejuani into Nidalee just feels so rough to me. They're gonna be susceptible to invades. You're gonna get outpaced pretty easily. Yeah, I think the Zeri lock-in makes a lot of sense here. I do think Ezreal is still quite strong. We'll have to see. The downside of Zeri, obviously, is that the setup isn't great and will leave you with no CC towards the top half of the map.
Ooh.
I like this way more. I think Bulldog is a solid Yone, not a standout by any means, but a solid Yone. Yone Rumble, I think, is great, and it gives you some setup for the Nidalee. So I do think this is a lot better of a direction. That said, KTF the counter pick towards top side. I do think that the Cannon has a decent matchup in the Rumble. I don't think it invalidates the Rumble, so I think KT is still going to have to be very respectful if it ends up being something like, say, a Rel on the enemy team, because we saw what that CC combo can lead to in the previous game as well.
See what KT do decide to ban away. I think bans towards Leaper are actually pretty powerful here. If you just take away Ezreal and Zeri, that's a large chunk of what he's comfortable on at this point in time. Could be something for them to think about already. The center taken away from Deft. I think the Shadow Isles vibe is worth thinking about. Kalista actually going to be banned on KT's side instead.
Huh.
And Andal having a little bit of a giggle as a result. See what they do decide to ban next. I think supports could be a look.
Yeah, I guess that does mean that we don't see Deft playing Kalista and Barrel playing Cannon support, where he can get, you know, like thrown in. I do think it's really interesting because Leaper now is going to get either Ezreal or Zeri. I think he's going to be really happy with either. I do think the Zeri priority relatively has risen, even though items have gotten nerfed. It looks like neither team is really looking into that direction specifically.
Aiming for the trade here, I guess. As the Jhin ban comes in, and Jhin does actually synergize quite well with things like the Nidalee and the Rumble. And the Yone to a certain extent, just with the range of engage that they do have, can actually do damage.
Yeah, I think the Zeri makes sense, both in the composition but also for Leaper. As the desk already highlighted, I don't think Leaper has the deepest champion pool. Well, we know there's a lot of stuff he's willing to play. That does also mean we get the last pick, counter pick here for Andal, who has definitely used it very well in the past. I'm like trying to think of like the most crazy thing that they could do here.
Yeah.
Obviously, Andal could be going towards something like the Seraphine, depending on what Barrel ends up locking in here, because it is a lot of short range on the enemy team. A blind Braum. That's always a bit dangerous. Might just be a Rakan, though. Yeah, I'm looking at this. Like, into Braum with Zeri, when you have the Rumble and the Yone, I think it makes complete sense. The downside of this over the Alistar is that dealing with Cannon is going to be a lot harder.
I would agree. KT also only have Sejuani when it comes to engage.
Yeah.
Unless Barrel is going to play some engage Braum, so that doesn't feel great. The Rakan, not with as many things to worry about. as we've seen in other games, namely our first series of the day, where the Rakan kind of went in and died instantly. This feeling like a pretty honest draft, but I think giving up a Rumble to red side is pretty dangerous. Haven't seen Dudu on the champion very often, and Perfect does have a matchup that is theoretically pretty decent into it.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Cuz's Nidalee, and I have not seen that lose.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to go towards. Cuz in a matchup that is very winning for Nidalee, one of the main reasons why we saw a return even pre-faded Ashes back at MSI, and also Undylan's Rakan. These were two of the picks that were highlighted at the beginning of the day as being very, very solid for their respective players. And as a reminder, KT currently sitting at a possibility of dropping below Kwangdong just off of game score if Kwangdong end up winning. So we'll see what's going to happen here, Atlas, because after that game number 1, part of that was for sure the Aurora. I think the space really highlighted the anger and just kind of stupefied response. But we also need to be honest, KT didn't look nearly as hot as they did, say, 2 weeks ago, and they're going to have to step up if they want to beat Cousins Comfort.
Yep, they might be able to beat Humble Life Esports, but Bro and Kwangdong Freaks proving to be a difficulty. Let's jump into the Rift for game number 2.
세상사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the Rift for the second game of the series. KT fans sounding a little bit maniacal at the moment, and that just makes all the sense in the world to me.
They are KT fans. On the plus side, if you lose it at Kwangdong, them beating Gen G is basically guaranteed, Atlas.
Oh, that's true. They have certainly charged up for a victory.
Oh.
Just to let everyone know as well, KT required a 2-1 victory to make it back to 0 points for game score, which is obviously the goal.
They're doing it for content?
Yeah, that's how it has to go. So either it's, KT doing that, or they're just going to get unceremoniously 2-0'd because they let Cuz play Nidalee and gave Rumble. Which, based on what we're looking at here, is a relatively likely story. KT utilizing the Braum early game to try and get a little bit of extra power, as Kwangdong Freaks wanting to deny this blue buff start, as Cuz already getting to work on his jungle.
So the main thing here is try and... I was about to say, like, just delaying the blue buff is the goal here, I think. I don't think they're actually looking to go, and we see the question mark pink come out as well, but this is going to be a really big win here for Cuz, who as of right now doesn't yet know that his blue buff isn't taken, but just the delay.
How did that miss? I'm kind of mind blown. Okay, Beryl is going to get exhausted, has to flash, he's down to 100 health. Okay.
We shall not be thrown off by early game shenanigans and deficits, because let's not forget.
Speak for yourself, I'm a bit thrown off.
You of all people should just embrace this as a natural part of Beryl.
I mean, it does. I embrace it. However, it will still throw me off. I embrace being thrown off.
Really?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Like at some point, you kind of get used to it.
You get used to it, but it still throws you off.
Oh, it's like a roller coaster?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like you might get used to being like a rodeo person, but you still get thrown off the cow, or the bull.
I think it's bulls, but I don't think either of us knows enough about rodeo to have this conversation.
No, it is definitely bulls.
I do think they always look cool whenever I see them in, various video materials.
Like in Real Steel?
Yeah, I don't really care. It's gonna be movie, it can be video clips. As Beryl does not have flash and is a little bit low.
Yeah, Cuz is going to come down, see whether he can collect his gold. In goes the Rakan. Beryl shows him the door, though. Stand behind Braum, not necessarily doing too much here, as let's see whether they can protect him. The answer's no. Leaper taking a fair bit of damage, but Def is not with enough to get anything back. And that is first blood. Beryl already on the floor.
And Cuz, really well done here. So ends up sacrificing, obviously, a good amount of clear speed, which should be able to still make it to his side of the jungle. Nidalee is so mobile early on, and this is the big advantage that you get. This is off of the back as the anti-gank there for Bulldog. Really, really nice. Like, Cuz is now going to be able to make his way back, see that his buffs are still up. So he's going to be able to do... He's one camp behind. And I imagine he's going to do his Raptors before he actually goes for a base. See the question mark ping going out as well. Doing insanely well here in his clear while also finding a successful gank. I love the just spearing Deft straight up as well. You know, not trying to predict it or anything. Calls Deft's bluff, and then here, like, we knew Beryl was dead. Realistically, they don't have any defensive summoners. They went Ignite, which makes sense because Braum's early game is insanely strong. But Deft and Beryl, we saw them struggle against Envy and against Paulo. And that felt like an isolated thing. Now, this one feels rough because Leaper already is sitting on a early kill again.
Yeah, and those Berserker's Greaves are a little bit expensive. And he's still able to afford them when he goes back to base. It's a pretty good first buy. And Deft, with only the little fairy in a bottle, as well as his tier that he's stacking up. And as far as tiers are concerned, I feel like there'll be enough of those in the KT stands here at Lowell Park. If they do actually lose the series, because it's just feeling a little bit like we've moved back to the early round one KT that didn't do a lot of winning.
The summer struggle.
Yeah. But this is not the equilibrium that we were kind of expecting, right? Because they lost to Kwangdong Freaks in the first round robin. That means that they should probably be able to win in the second round robin. That is kind of how it goes.
If they lose this match as well, I just want to remind everyone that, memes aside, KT are still playing DRX. Even with their form being shaky, I feel like they should still be heavily favored there. But they're also playing against Gen G and DK. Like, those are their other two remaining members. Whereas right now, Kwangdong playing against KT, if they end up winning here, again, they go even, but Kwangdong pulls ahead in game score. And I think it's unlikely for KT to not make playoffs because we do have BNK with an insane strength of schedule. But it does remain a possibility. And losing to your direct competitor is going to be really rough in that regard.
Absolutely. This is certainly feeling like it's more about the Kwangdong Freaks and their ability to try and make their place in the playoffs known.
Perfect.
All right, perfect. Looking for an angle here. Does find the Shuriken onto Cuz. They take a couple of these grubs, and it looks like KT are just going to back away after that. Kwangdong Freaks come down. They will be able to secure the last one.
Yeah. Safe bet, don't have ult on Bioshik, and I think that finding, isolating, killing an individual target is what makes you have a shot in that 3v3. If you just try to play it up straight, like between the Yone and Rumble ults, it's going to be a pretty rough task. I love that boots were nerfed, and I look at the inventory and
everyone's just buying shoes.
It's just boots, Atlas. Maybe the nerfs were warranted when everyone is still rushing them even despite.
Movement speed, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very good stat.
That's actually the Jhin drifting did get nerfed this patch. They actually take away a pretty good amount. Did you not see how much slower Leaper was in the last game?
True.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's probably good to avoid a Jhin wandering through the enemy base and then surviving.
Or somehow making it through draft.
Yeah, that's true as well. It's all right. Perfect. Up here just defending against Dudu. Currently very even. That was not a great trade there for Bulldog, but he is still only behind like 5 CS or something like that. And so nothing too much to worry about as far as the mid lane is concerned. BDD, of course, happy to scale until 2 items and then become very, very strong from there. As Pioshik has already started off this dragon. Cuz going to at least throw a spear at it. Pioshik going to have to get out of here, but may have just leashed this one for the Kwangdong Freaks. As Grand Entrance does connect, Def able to get out of the way of a fair bit of the damage as the ulti does come through. Barrel's going to flash as Bulldog looks for the Q, doesn't get it. Spear also goes wide. As Kwangdong Freaks will have to give up this dragon for now.
Ooh, it's a pretty big investment, yeah. So Kwangdong Freaks are going to peel off. So successful play, honestly. The barrel flash, I think, is fine. Deft also having to use his flash is a little bit rough, though. That does open up some additional opportunities here. That said, Bulldog hits a base, so BDD, who did not leave the lane, is able to build further upon his lead, as well as pick up a plate. So big win there for KT. And I think we, from knowing KT and just a gut feeling, are definitely not feeling too optimistic, but important to note that KT still is completely fine in this game. Although the main thing, particularly when you have a comp like this that will have very limited initiation tools, really just Sejuani ult once we get deeper in.
Oh, true shot barrage already channeled actually as Lipa gets out of this brush, but nothing really going to happen. Largely due to the fact that there is a Pyosik in the area. Cuz turning back up once again as this battle for the dragon continues.
You cannot do this. You don't have cryo.
All right, well, Spear going to connect onto Def. He might just need to vacate the area as BDD is moving over. Bulldog going to have to go back as the Glacial Prison goes wide. KT might actually be able to get out of here, but they're not actually going to be able to fight for the dragon. So that is finally going to go over the Quantum Freaks, who retain control of the map. Like, neutral objectives feeling like they're in their control. And this has been what Cuz has been very good at.
That's the Nidalee. And Cuz, as we have pointed out, I think when Canyon individually is probably still the best Nidalee. Like, he has a skin in the champion, right?
Yeah.
Goes without saying. But Cuz isn't playing with lanes that always win. So his impact to me is probably the most impressive in terms of individual performance, as that is a very costly cancel. Now, I do think that they spotted Cuz towards the top side of the map, so Def does know that he can stay. And, like, he'll be able to catch this wave, but this opens up a roam timing here for Andil. He's going to get the back in. And the Rubbies are coming up. Kwangdong can still get to 4, which I do think they're going to be trying to play towards. Dudu needs the back, though, because he's been sitting on just these boots for a while. So he won't really be able to join. Then again, same for Perfect. Neither of them have their TP. So both top laners are, I don't know, sitting on what, like 1.5k gold, give or take at this point in time.
Yeah,
so maybe they just, both of them just don't do anything. And this is, to me, with the pickup of the Sejuani, you accept that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the reality of the situation. And
two plays for Azeri in this matchup, though, does not feel great.
No, because Leaper got that early kill, and Deft and Beryl have been on the back foot. And I think it's the willingness of KT to go for these really aggressive contests that outside of BDD have just backfired every single time.
Yeah, you can see BDD is ahead in farm by just a little bit, but 1,000 gold for Azeri just in a natural 2v2 is very worrisome. Almost a 20 CS advantage. And Def, during the middle of the season, was one of our better Ezreal players. Been struggling a little bit here in this lane. I think a lot to do with the fact that Beryl did get first blooded pretty early on, had to blow that flash so early, was immediately punished, and then put behind in the lane. But this has been well orchestrated by the Kwangdong Freaks.
I also want to highlight the nerfs to Ezreal, I think, are most heavily... Like, Ezreal was winning early game lanes very consistently. In the and it is, again, it's the same whenever Karthus gets like -2 damage on his Qs. Because he spams it so much, it actually ends up being a really big effective nerf.
Oh yeah.
And the parts that were buffed for Ezreal, who again, Ezreal was already getting picked up previously. I think it was Pace and maybe 1 or 2 others. I know Aiming also has been a big fan of it for a while. Even his pre-buffs. But the ultimate buff and the, again, I think it was the attack damage growth, like those don't matter in lane. So your laning phase was definitely a lot weaker, and I feel like this is more reminiscent of what Ezreal lanes used to feel like, made worse by the fact that Leaper picks up an early kill.
Yeah, I feel like it is a compound issue. Ezreal still should be pretty strong, especially when he gets towards those item spikes. But this is what we're worried about, the fact that the Kwangdong Freaks have so much control. Yep, Bulldog's moving down, 4 versus 2 in this bottom lane. Teleports are available to try and defend here as Beryl shows them the door, and they do clear out the wave. So there is at least that. Kwangdong Freaks, so much vision in this area, as Pyosik able to walk away from the spear, and Cuz just keeping a monopoly on all of this vision. Bulldog makes his way back to lane. And that will be that. So KT keeping themselves alive for the moment. Only down about 1,000 gold. Kwangdong Freaks trying to stack these dragons as best they can. Deft will have to give up yet another plate, though. And the Zeri, man, like, this is the problem. It's Zeri. She is so incredibly powerful if you leave her unattended, if she's able to just collect plates and get ahead.
Yeah, it's also she has cleanse, and there is no guaranteed lockdown.
Huh. Apart from a Glacial Prison.
Well, but you have to hit that, and then she has cleanse. So the only scenario in which you actually get on top of Leaper as Pioshik getting a cheeky steal there, I'm pretty sure, is if you hit the ult and then get the cleanse and then have perfect also flank, because it's just going to say hello and heal. And just helping out his laners. Look at him go.
Yeah, actually helps win out the trade.
Oh, actually, Dude also going nullifying orb. I like that a lot into the cannon here.
Yeah, pretty defensive as far as his choices so far. Merctread's a little bit more valuable when it's a cannon instead of a rumble, just because he does have the stun to worry about.
Yeah, it's like good in the laning match, but also just
in
having
general.
Yeah, no, like against Braum, Sejuani, and Cannon. I don't know if Huni would excuse it, but I definitely will.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Some structural damage. Yeah, Leaper is 100% of that. Apart from, I guess, the 0.5 that BDD's managed to dish out. So great news there. Deft is going to park himself in the mid lane now as we crest the 14-minute mark. Plate's going down. And he will be able to at least grab this full wave, try and get himself back within touching distance. The Trinity Force certainly going to be a big deal as far as getting the Ezreal into a decent spot. So they can theoretically fight, but first Turret Blood going over to Quandong Freaks does put them at 2,000 gold in the lead. And KT starting off this dragon, Cuz in the vicinity. KT trying to get Andal out of the area. Cuz on a bit of a flank angle here as the teleport comes in. Andal in a bit of trouble. The knock-up comes down and Andal is just wiped off the map. Now Bulldog, he's come on in, he's unbound the soul, and that is going... Speaking of souls, the Swift Rift after the Drift Rift, you love to see it.
Back-to-back cool rifts here for us, Atlas.
Oh, yeah.
Ox paying attention. Really tragic there for Kwangdong is that the TP from Dudu is channeled as Undo is dying. Really nicely done by KT. Very hard to reliably get on top of something like the Rakan. Notoriously slippery, but they managed to get him, managed to blow him up, equalize the dragons, and start working at taking down this huge gold lead. But that alone was not enough, and if they get access to the Herald, I think that Kwangdong are going to be looking towards the mid lane turret. I don't really think that KT is in a position to contest this.
Yeah, they have one of the ultimates back up and available. The Glacial Prison is going to be there, but Cuz should just be able to take Shelly down. There it goes, pokes her in the eye, and is able to take this. So, like you were saying, mid lane out of turret should be the option, but it isn't going to get one shot by Shelly.
That's true. If BDD can also deny a wave, can be feeling a little bit better here. So, Barrel giveth, Barrel taketh away. Really big Q there from Deft, because this was about to time out. And then immediately no hesitation, because if that passive times out,
yep,
probably not going to be able to actually get the kill onto that Rakan. Big mistake from Undo, but very nicely done. That did feel like that probably shouldn't happen every single time for KT, and I do want to see how they're going to be able to start these fights consistently. The upside is everyone on Kwangdong is squishy. Like, they're mobile, outside of the Rumble, hard to reliably lock down. As yeah, thank you for highlighting this observer. So Barrel did the same as in last game, which is like, this is kind of a Moby Boot and Empowered Recall mashup.
Yeah.
So you're able to, once they've evolved, you get the Baron, not the Baron, the Herald.
Yeah, the Herald recall.
Access to that, as well as a little bit of extra out of combat movement speed.
It's pretty cute. Feels like a barrel item. The guy loved Moby Boots, so it does make some sense that he wants to try and get onto this one. And Cuz diving on over, will be able to steal away the enemy Krugs. Bottom outer turret was, of course, secured. KT, like we were talking about, their turret doesn't instantly die. However, it is very, very close. Sort of just waiting for Leaper to be able to take that one down. Beryl making his way back out to lane. And we're getting slowly but surely towards these 2-item spikes, but we're not there yet for KT. So they will lose this turret in mid lane. And that gold lead, 3,000 gold now. It is steadily ticking up here for Quandong Freaks. Some very measured play from this squad. It has been very hit or miss with a few of their games. This time around, looking like they're in full control. And it just comes back to the Cuz got Nidalee situation here. And it shows me, like, because KT banned the Aurora on the blue side, that they weren't ready to pick this champion. And Quandong Freaks able to capitalize on it. I actually really, really like that, you know, the experiment was taken here by KT to leave it up. They were punished for that, and that gives you power in the next draft. KT still with a fair few tools. All right, there's the flash forward. Okay, Beryl. They are going to be able to get the stun, but Bulldog does create enough space. Big one, not enough.
That's not the best trade. Unfortunately, Beryl does not have access to Hex Flash, which is good because he's Braum. Might get them a good amount of damage here onto this turret, but Bulldog sticking around because he doesn't have his ultimate. Only 2 grubs here for KT. Cuz is in the area. Leaper's on his way.
Yeah, Grand Entrance not really going to find any joy at all, as neither does the Gleaming Quill or the Spear. Quantum Freak's now going to get spotted out by the Scryer's Bloom, courtesy of Deft.
Yeah, do note, again, everyone on Kwangdong, really squishy. If they get stun locked, they will go down in a matter of seconds. So you see, they have to play very, very respectful. So I like that KT is not playing scared. We're going to have to find one of these big catches, though, as we get towards the Dragon.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Oh, lock it into the Rumble. Love to see it.
Yeah, good call here from Beryl. He has been up with the tech so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our great technicians.
Indeed. Sometimes the play leaves us a bit confused, as Pioshik able to secure his Raptor Camp. The Leaper is able to put on a fair bit of pressure himself.
Yeah, sometimes he's more of an ideas man, you know? He gives you the idea.
Yep. Like Steve.
Yeah, but then the execution is
Any
so-so.
Any Australian movie fans would appreciate that one. A good friend Dale Kerrigan, one of his phenomenal films. But I digress. This top lane out of turret, not going to die just yet. There is quite a bit of defense. And Cuz is looking to just take the first Cloud Drake of the game. Grand Entrance going to connect here onto Pioshik. He is pretty tanky. I believe an Equalizer was just used to clear out that wave as well, and that is going to delay even further. And so Cuz, utilizing this extra time that he is being bought by that Equalizer's use on the top side of the map to guarantee that this Drake does go down. And the smoke and mirrors being utilized beautifully. Bulldog going to have his red buff denied, unfortunately. And by his red buff, I mean KT's red buff. Still, Deft is able to secure that for himself. So that is good, but the Drake is still going to be taken here by Quantum Freaks. And look at this vision. They have so much towards this top side. That's what they were defending, while Cuz was utilizing all that information just to steal away the Dragon. They just know everything.
Now this is one of the Dragons where individually I do think you have a little bit more leeway with whether or not you give them up. But
how dare you?
You know I appreciate Cloud Soul.
I know.
But when looking at what KT have here, I don't think the Cloud Soul or the Cloud Dragons alone are going to be the end of the world. Cloud Soul though, particularly Zeri and Rakan should not have access to that. That is way too much power. We know how strong movement speed is. We do see finally KT get the turret, but top outer for Dragon I think is definitely an investment, or a trade rather, that Kwangdong isn't going to be too sad about. We are going to get deeper and deeper into the game now, like looking at the CS numbers, pretty even. Obviously the only one that is very substantially ahead is Leaper, Cuz is a good lead, but Leaper also has a kill on top of that, and also I'm pretty sure picked up a good amount of turret gold and plates, so
oh yeah,
that lead will be a little bit more in your face. So a lot of this is going to come down to, can KT find Leaper? Whereas for KT, I think they have so much damage available, it's more like, can they actually get it off?
Yeah.
And right now, they don't have a lot of vision control. Poke is great, but are they going to be able to utilize Perfect in a fight? It's one of my main questions.
Well, Deft is so far landing just a lot of Mystic shots. These Primal Surges sort of helping out here. As you can see, Cuz just healing up Leaper there. And KT going to lose control of this Baron Pit. It's been up for about 2.5 minutes. We'll see where the Quantum Freaks do move their way over. Beryl, you can see, not wanting to risk it.
Yeah, one of the big things with Kwangdong is that they have a Zeri, they have double Leandries, and they have a Bladed Ruined King. So they actually chew through Baron relatively quickly. It's not as good as it gets, but it's also not too far off. For KT, Nash definitely a little bit slower, and we do see the poke coming through here.
He's going to connect onto Beryl. He hasn't used the door just yet. Does use it there as the Glacial Prism will connect, and Andal just explodes once again. The spear not going to land as now Bulldog looking for the angle. They get on top of Pioshik. He flashes, but it's not enough. Deft trying desperately to keep himself alive, and he's going to burn down to the godlike Equalizer from the Rumble. Oh my goodness, they just execute all of them. And that should be a free Baron. Andal for 5.
That was just bait! Andal was served up as a tasty slice of food. And KT, they went for it. And my God, do they pay? Taking a look at this. So Andal, happy feeding, dodges that one. And again, they're just looking for poke. But then here, they clock him, end up taking him down. The TP comes in, everything looks amazing for KT. But then here, the angle from Dudu, then Bulldog finds the setup as well. And then to add insult to injury, Perfect doesn't even get Leaper. Leaper sustains off of the wave.
Oh, that is completely nuts. He just cleanse flashes, even hit by the shuriken, and then just decides he's not even going to shoot it. Cover me, cover me, cover me is what he was yelling. Oh, he was very confused about the fact that he lived, and so are we. As KT, 24 minutes into the game, and they flub a team fight. Where have we seen this before? Chronicle?
Yeah, we kind of knew, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh dear. I did think that this was it was time for the Equilibrium game, but I guess it wasn't.
Maybe the Equilibrium game comes in the next series, because in 2 days they play Gen.G.
Maybe it comes in spring.
Really, if you pull it on a long enough line.
Yeah, this is the thing.
KT is always in.
It'll even out eventually. Maybe 2027.
Maybe this is equalizing out for last summer.
Maybe.
Although I guess the results after last summer were Equilibrium for last summer.
Well, it looks like Quandong Freaks certainly having a good time in this one, and Cuz's Nidalee is just looking like a win button. It is kind of nutty. Like him and Canyon, the two players that just aren't allowed to get this champion. And I think that we've realized that completely.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. This again begs the question: why is Cuz on Kwangdong?
I mean, there's that, but there's also like, why isn't Nidalee banned? I think that you don't need to ban Ashe as much as you need to ban Nidalee.
So my reasoning is that teams are unwilling to give up the Ashe because it felt like you could go for the trade with Ezreal, but now Ezreal is considerably weaker. I'm not agreeing, right? But I know LCK teams. I imagine that's kind of the thought process behind it.
I guess so.
Where before, if you banned Ezreal, they banned Ashe, all the way around. Or you banned both if you were on red side and they weren't doing it.
It's almost a 10,000 gold lead, Chronicle.
Yeah, I was gonna launch into my usual spiel of, hey, they didn't get any inhibitors, but they did get a lot of gold, Atlas.
Yeah, it is 3.3k, the Rebel Baron power play.
It was one lost fight. It was actually like, what, 2k deficit? It was pretty even, all things considered.
It was about 4, but I think that it was still playable. This is feeling a lot less of the playable thing.
I don't think it should be, no. BDD hit full stacks on.
Hey, there we go.
Trades, that's nice.
Hey,
Perfect has 2 items. That's some. It's a tough day, Atlas.
it is looking like a rough one to be a KT fan. That is absolutely true. But if you are a Quandong Freaks fan, if you want these players to make it to the playoffs, it's looking more and more likely. I mean, for Quandong, this matchup is so incredibly important. Remember, this was the team that was 1 win behind both KT and B&K, and so we'll be able to equalize in that wins column.
Also, we'll pull ahead in game score. Actually, be 4 games ahead if they get to 2-0.
Yeah, there's the grand entrance. Equalizer goes down. It is melting them. The barrel is going to fall, but there is the exhaust a bit late on to Perfect, who was already able to take down Andal. But Andal is very happy to die in these fights because they still win them even after he falls down. So a 2-for-1 trade in favor of the Quandong Freaks, and they will be able to continue pushing. Baron be damned. Or they'll just go home.
2 minutes on the clock, and we get into the point where even if you get someone on Kwangdong, which most likely is the best you're going to get, as KT, it doesn't matter. You need to kill like 2, ideally 3 people, because whoever is left over is just going to carry the fight, as Andal says, "Witness me."
Oh yeah.
As he dies gloriously.
The chrome on his lips looking beautiful.
Oh yeah. The exhaust, as you're saying, it wouldn't have been enough to save him, but he gets it off anyway, which means Bulldog, with his sustain, is able to stay alive. And Atlas, I think we're looking at a back-to-back 2-0 deficit here for KT, which after the couple of weeks of bounce back, the Humble Life win,
It was feeling a little bit less stressful.
Yeah.
For KT fans, it's absolutely true.
and still, again, so KT's direct competitors, one BNK, secondly Kwangdong. Kwangdong are going to be feeling really good about this win because they have a pretty decent game score and they're still facing DRX. Now KT are also still facing DRX, who are looking to be in very rough shape at the moment.
They can play some pretty heavy spoiler, though.
Oh yeah.
It's all right, Beryl.
And no pressure. We saw what it did for Bro.
Yeah, punching a few of these. Just puts up the door. It isn't really going to be doing too much there, as we can see that empowered back looking a bit cool. Utilizing his new shoes. Very, very nice. But Kwangdong, it's 27 seconds until this Baron does come up, and look at this vision. It is kind of nutty. There is one control ward as Bulldog just dashing forward.
Oh,
the fact that he can unbind his soul, pretty handy for just face checking these brushes, getting the vision down.
Yeah, the traps as well, Atlas.
Oh yeah.
So many scattered around the jungle.
They need
Look
a
at this
few
is-
extra cooldowns.
Yeah, this is textbook. As maybe a trap.
Oh, doo-doo. Equalizer going down. Perfect, just going to flash. So flash for Equalizer coming on through, and the Equalizer's cooldown is not very large, but
It's
the Baron is up.
No, like look at it. Like
Yeah,
it's level 17.
almost, yeah, it's almost up again.
There's still that's a bit risky to be completely fair. Perfect doesn't have flash, but he does have his ultimate. I'm gonna see this now.
True Shot Barrage actually pretty valuable there as well, as Beryl going to get tagged. And Andal, he's out of the fight already. Kwangdong Freaks at 50% health as far as these four champions are concerned.
100%.
Yep, KT going for the Hail Mary, and you can understand exactly why. Teleport's going to come in. That ultimate still not up for Doodoo as the stun's going to come down, but the ulti is buffered from Bulldog. The ulti goes to Narnia from Pyoshik, and down goes the Corki, and so much of the damage is cuz it's just Battle Kitty tearing them apart, and Bulldog, he just win. What? It's an ace for Kwangdong Freaks, and they're going to win the series.
And Bulldog says, Andil, what you can do, I can do better. I can get all of them to go on top of me. And guess what? I won't even die!
That was ridiculous. And Cuz is sitting at 2-0 and 10, and he was just pouncing around the back line. How does that even work? Okay, they're just gonna funnel in. This is Kwangdong Freaks with a 2-0 over KT. Look at that, the Equalizer goes down. Dude didn't even have it for the fight. He didn't need it, he got to burn the Nexus with it.
And a heartbreaking 2-0 here for KT, but Kwangdong making an absolutely colossal step towards making those playoffs. I'm gonna
That's a very
think-
happy CV Max as well
think
as
a
we
little
saw.
bit about my, because I you know I was locked in for Cuz, but I'm not sure, Atlas.
I think it's
I'm not
it's
sure.
still Cuz.
I'm you know what? If I'm an 11 out of 12 for my love for that man in the jungle, then so be it. Because I'm pretty sure Bulldog with those back-to-back plays might be looking towards one. But man,
I think
Kwangdong.
the level of control that Kwangdong had, and so much of it was based on playing around all of the pressure that Cuz put on. I think he is 100% in my mind the player of the series. For me, he really just, like, Pyoshik stood no chance against this man here today. CV Max, you can see, look at that. So proud of his boy in the mid lane. Extremely animated is CV Max, just in general. I think
Bulldog.
he's just excited about how he was playing.
That's a perfect KDA on the Yone. And we haven't even talked about Doodoo yet. Gets Rumble and shows us why that shouldn't be a thing, Atlas.
I mean, we had Rumble in both games. The first time around, it was with Aurora on the Rift, and Bulldog, he sorted that. And he might win back-to-back POGs. Lipa throwing up the L. That is an L for Lipa, I'm pretty sure. Not any sort of derogatory talk towards his opposition.
It works both ways.
It does, but he can still look sportsmanlike.
I'm also just happy Andil, even in this season, having a couple of struggles.
Yeah.
But when it comes to gameplay, I feel like he is slowly getting more and more consistent across the games, and I think that is a really big thing. When it comes to specifically support, really recently it's been just Carrier. And let's not forget that, you know, he came up like 4 years ago. Outside of that, new support talent, hard to find. We had Bible, but he didn't end up really panning out.
We had Guga.
We had, don't you? Why would you do? I was going to talk about Moham. I was going to talk about Duro, and then you had to mention Guga.
I mean, Duro is the next fun one, but he is still very new. As we're going to check out some of these highlights here, as Beryl getting taken down after the earlier flash. It really was a little bit of a worry. Shoutouts once again. Chronicler, you and Orcs were the only Kwangdong Freaks predictors. Our coins were a little bit KT biased this week, and so therefore they lost. So maybe we just need to start getting better at how our predictions are actually put down. So let's just see how this one goes. As Bulldog starting this fight off really, really nicely.
Yeah, Dudu's to be also absolutely impeccable. The fact that Leaper lives here is just adding in. They could have done Nash without it. They would have been fine, but it's the fact that he lives as well. And Kwangdong making absolutely colossal steps. Now going to be at 7 and 8, but overtakes both BNK, who of course are still playing another one. But even if, as long as BNK win, they should be looking good. Do note though, you know what the Saturday showdown this week is, Atlas?
No, what is it?
It is BNK versus Kwangdong. And that match might end up being the difference maker between whether KT makes it, depending on what else happens.
Exactly. This was Bulldog just eating every single cooldown in the game, and then Cuz pouncing into 3 people and setting up for that beautiful Q from Bulldog. I was wondering how it was Bulldog that got all of those kills when it looked like it was just Cuz swiping his way to victory. Looks like those Feral Druid buffs really did do a lot of work with the extra AoE damage that he was capable of. Really beautifully done there from Cuz. And he's not allowed to get in Italy. This guy is so incredibly good at this champion, KT, letting us see exactly why that is. Here in game number 2.
2k damage. Like, his only melee buddy was Braum. That was it.
Yeah, it's not a great time as predictions here. Let's have a look. Already, Chronicler, you and Orcs set up for a great week. No KT predictions on that docket, and that is probably the way that you win predictions here in the LCK.
Really, I think... nice job, Orcs.
Heck yeah, Orcs.
After last week, I think I was just like, it's 2 KT. And
it's a little bit too...
KT.
The problem is that, it doesn't matter. Let's throw it over to the space. They can break down the series.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Jason for the POG interview translation. And in today's second match, Kwangdong Freaks secured a victory against KT Roaster. And let's have a chat with the POGs, Bulldog and Cuz. Congratulations on the win, guys. Kwangdong Freaks has done it again. You won against KT in both rounds. How do you guys feel about the win? I mean, today is the do or die day, you know? We had to win this match, and I'm so glad we managed to pull it off. It feels amazing. What about you, Cuz? Well, KT is one of the strong teams in the LCK, so we wish we could pull off a victory here, but I'm more happy with the fact that we were able to display a very clean performance. It means a lot to us. But I do want to talk about Aurora first, Bulldog. You are the first players to play Aurora in the LCK. So you just locked it in as soon as it was let through. Is Aurora's tier that high? Well, based on my solo queue experience and also playmaking-wise, or like just basic stat-wise, Aurora is pretty strong. Well, a lot of players actually mentioned that it might be better utilized in the top lane. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, it is viable on the top lane, but still, it's a very decent pick for mid lane as well. I mean, she is indeed a very short-ranged mage champion, but it's pretty good. As a jungler, how do you like Aurora mid? I mean, she's getting a lot of compliments, but I think today was mostly about Bulldog being a great pilot, and her ult is pretty OP right now, so Riot needs to do something about it for sure.
진짜 사기긴 하더라고요. 근데 불독 선수가 방금 말씀해주신 것처럼
And Bulldog, just like you mentioned, she has a very short range.
구도가 살짝 힘들려나?
So how does he deal with champions like Corki in lane?
좀 힘들 것 같긴 했지만
I thought the laning phase would be very tough, but still her ultimate is so OP. So I just wanted to get through lanes in order to show the real value out of her.
날아다니는 메이지다 이런 표현을 해주셨거든요. 그만큼 지금은 좀 좋게 평가를 하고
I
계신
mean,
것 같은데.
She is definitely talk of a town right now. She is just here and there flying throughout the team fights. So let's take a look at this replay where she was able to hop in and out and do so much damage and clear out the fight. So to be honest, I just ulted and get popped, you know? That's all I did over there. Then Cuz, would you like to break it down for us? So because opponents were having a longer range, we knew that they were trying to wrap us around, but Aurora, she could flank or either just go face to face, but she this time just decided to go straight to their face, and then I guess it kind of flustered the opponents. You know, she was just like walking straight to them and ulted, and they were like, "Whoa, this also works like this." So I think that also was pretty powerful over there. And then we had Rakan from Andil as well, and your Nidalee. Both champions are the undefeated picks. For you guys, were you guys feeling confident about the draft? I mean, yeah, because we were secured the champions that we are very good at the moment, and also I think our coaching staff did a fantastic job rounding out the comp and telling us the directions for the gameplay as well. So now that you guys have all the information, I think you guys really have to be careful with letting those undefeated champions through for us. So there were some moments where the opponents were actually finding some angle for team fights, but so how did you manage to kind of deal with that situations? So yeah, we sometimes got surprised by the initiation attempts from the enemies, but as long as we keep that in mind and react to it, you know, in a proper way, we thought we will still win the team fights. So over there as well, we were trying to get visions. You know, we were just fighting for the visions, you know, contesting for the river fight. And then Rakan was looking for a little angle, and then they were going all in for Rakan. So it actually opens up more space for us to win the follow-up fights. So I guess, you know, they got a little bit charmed by that Rakan, you know. I guess like Andil was making a play to taunt the opponents, and they were actually like pouring their abilities. So we were in a really good spot. And Leaper also managed to survive there. Leaper, I think, is in a great form today, you know. He was doing a great job of surviving, but also he had a really good read on the matchup as well. And after that play, he was like, "Guys, did you see? I popped off. That's crazy. Like, I need compliments." So he was also very satisfied with his own play. Anything you want to say to him then? Yeah, Leaper, you did an amazing job. You know, props to you. I believe in you. And Bulldog, you were in a very aggressive position as well. Were you confident to win out that team fight? I mean, pretty much similar to what Cuz said, you know, as long as I can kind of force out a lot of their critical abilities, I believe my teammates will be able to win the team fight. And at the end, CV Max came over and talked to you a lot. So you almost missed the timing for your celebration as well. What was he talking about? He was basically like telling me how to find the angle to attack and also like get out of that fight. You know, you have to know how to play with the aggro and stuff. So I was getting a lot of like compliments and also some feedbacks. Well, speaking of celebration, Bulldog, you are on fire in terms of ceremonies.
일단 티라미수 케이크.
So you started off with the tiramisu dance challenge, and then last week you did the cheerleader challenge, and today you did the G-idol dance challenge. So how do you come up with all those ideas?
그렇게 오래 생각하진 않고요. 경기
I don't give it a lot of thought, you know.
아 오늘 뭐 하지 생각하는 것
When
같습니다.
I'm about to win the match, I'm like, what should I do today? And then it just like pops to my mind. And indeed, today was a very important match for Kwangdong Freaks, and it was a clean 2-0 win. So many Kwangdong fans out here, so many cool fans line to support you, which means they deserve another celebration maybe?
많은 분들이 기대하시는 것 같은데 그렇죠? 저희가 살짝 빠져드리겠습니다. 메들리로 부탁드립니다.
So let's have a back-to-back Bulldog ceremony medley. A reel of his all of the dance moves that he pulled off.
뭐부터?
티라미수 케이크부터 그 삐끼삐끼 클락션.
All three of the dance moves.
세 개 다?
네.
All three?
짧게 하셔도 됩니다. 박수 부탁드립니다.
Give it up for Bulldog, everyone.
티라미수 케이크, 티라미수 케이크.
So this is the tiramisu cake dance. Next up is KBO cheerleader dance.
오, 와! 와! 아, 춤선이 프로다, 프로야.
Those moves are so on point.
마지막으로 오늘 했던 클락션까지.
And lastly, the G-idol klaxon.
우우와 우. 우우와 우. 우우와. 감사합니다.
Thank you so much, Bulldog. Please give it up for Bulldog one more time. I know this is hard, but thank you so much for redoing it for all the Kwangdong fans out here. Amazing celebration to the 2-0 win up against KT Roaster. And your next match is the Saturday Showdown up against BNK Fear X, a very important match for the playoffs contention. What is your resolution for that one?
BX 지금 굉장히 잘하고 있지만
Fear X, they're on a crazy momentum, but this time around we will crush them.
터드 선수의 각오도 들어보겠습니다.
일단 요즘 BNK의 팀의 그
These days, BNK, they are on a very, very strong momentum. I want to say they are displaying a great performance right now, but I want to make sure that we can give it our all and prepare the best in order to secure a win that day. And this will be the end of the POG interview, and back to the space. Thank you.